We are back, and we have a brand new internet connection here. So we're going to be like playing with this and playing with you all while we are testing this out in some capacity. We haven't tried yet Skype. I did go with a much faster internet. Before we had HughesNet. It was horrible. I mean, we still have it, but I mean, it's mostly for the cable now. But it was only 3 megabits per second upload speed, and it was 20 megabits. Oh no, I was like 40 megabits download. It was just rough, and so we went something much faster. The ultra package. So hopefully we have no problems. But anyways, we're back. It's been a while, hasn't it, Chesh? Oh, you're muted. It's not on me on my end.
Good. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Good.
Yeah. Well, the audio sounds a little low, I think, but that might be on my end.
I can turn myself up. The video quality is kind of not that great.
It's Skype. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on the internet right now. For some reason, everything's like dying.
The internet is exploding. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I got my camera in the wrong spot.
Facebook's down. WhatsApp's down. Instagram's down, and Messenger's down. And somebody said there was also problems with Streamlabs and YouTube.
Yeah, we're also on, and Skype is Microsoft, so the video quality is kind of not that great.
Oh, it does look boxy. It's Skype. Yeah, it looks like. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on the internet right now. One sec, it's on. Let me fix this real quick because I'm not streaming what I want to be streaming here. So, give me 1 second here. Yeah, I'll fix this. Let me fix. All right, now it should be better.
I'm sleepy. I don't know why. Yeah, well, hey, yeah, there we go.
Is that better?
We're in the right,
Did I fix it?
We're in the right aspect ratio now.
I'm telling you, we're still playing around with this because I had to change a whole bunch of settings and just do a whole bunch of crazy stuff.
Oh, wait, that's way better. It just, okay, so it switched from like 360p and boxes to then elongating and then the thing up.
Yeah, because I'm in high def now.
You still need to, okay, there's still a couple little minor things that need to be fixed in the set. So, like, I can see, like, gaps in our little windows.
Yeah, I can see that now. I can see that.
We can fix that later, though.
Yeah, we're not going to go for fine touching
so
right
much
now.
better.
But yeah, so I went to 720 high definition, so. Is that better, people?
Oh, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, you look halfway decent now.
Thanks.
Yeah, you don't look like pixelated porn from the 80s.
Oh, that's good. Do I sound okay? I switched up my microphone. Everybody's been moving around and everybody's been trying and adjusting different things, and I'm all about that. So yesterday somebody had said, I can't remember who said, that I was still getting some kind of like hum. So hopefully I'm not getting any hum anymore because I tried to I don't have an arm because don't. But hold on, let me turn my background up.
I don't hear any hum from you at all. It sounds clean.
Let me just turn off the background effect for a second. Okay, so I can show you guys. I have it on top of an oven mitt on top of the D&D books to separate it as far as I possibly can from the desk itself.
Gotcha.
So hopefully that works. I don't know. Outside can let me know if they're still getting some buzz from me or not.
Yeah, they say it's tinny, but I don't hear it on my end. I think you actually sound really good. But
usually when I listen to the playback, I don't hear a hum, but I don't know because I check it.
Yeah, so obviously the spam bots got to the download bots. You know, it's nice that they pay so much attention to us. It's that they come over and we're the harassers because none of us go over to comment on their shit. None of us go to their discords. None of us have anything to do with them. But of course, we're the super secret sex cult harassers that go around and fuck with people when all we want to do is do our own shit on the internet, so whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So you moved.
I moved.
Tell us about your move and how that went.
Yeah, it was actually pretty smooth. I moved around a lot in my life because being in the military, you move around a lot. I mean, when I first moved away from home, my first home was in Northridge, and then we moved to Buena Park. I lived there for most of my life until I was 17. Then I flew to Florida, went to boot camp there. After graduation from nuke school there, went to Noll's Powder Laboratory, which was in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. And then from there moved, to Seattle or Bremerton region. But I've also lived in Utah. I've lived in all over California, or Southern California. And so, you get used to moving. But this was one of the smoother moves. One, I probably had less stuff because when I was living in Indio, California, I sold my home. I got rid of literally everything I had. I mean, I had a gun case, a nice gun case, just left it there. I left all my possessions. I just took what I thought I would need, put everything else in the garage, and they said, hey, don't worry about it. We will take care of it for you. Sold the house as is, cash, value, and I moved. And so I didn't really have a lot of possessions, but now I even less. So I took books, I took clothes, but yeah, no, I'm in the southern LA County region, really nice. I took a walk up the hill over here, and really pretty. I took a picture, and I don't think I've sent it out yet. I think I sent it to a couple people, but I haven't posted it publicly yet. But it's really nice here. I think I'm gonna enjoy it.
You posted a really nice view of your like at the top of the hill.
I did post it. Yeah, I did post it.
I don't know if that's where your place is, but that's where you happen to be. You could have been out for a walk.
It's pretty close to that. It's down the hill, and walking uphill, not very fun because it's a pretty good incline. Coming down is a piece of cake. It's only a half-mile walk to the store, so it's not a big deal. Nice. Same thing it was for my bus before, but that trek up that hill, you got to put that extra energy up there because you're going against gravity.
Right now, I have an uphill walk to get to the grocery store. Like, it's not far. It's like, I don't know, like maybe a 20-minute walk away. It's an uphill walk to the grocery store, which is great because that means it's a downhill walk home when I'm carrying groceries.
Well, and that's what it is for me too, right? Coming down was easy. I don't have a EQ for this. I'm saying that I could put an EQ in for a little higher range. There is EQs for that. I mean, I might eventually use voice meter, but I do have noise suppression on, and what that does is, I could put it a higher quality noise suppression. That might make a little bit difference.
My setting is Skype regular noise suppression, and then also I am using voice meter, and I've got my compression at 0.1 and my gate at 1.0. Like, it's all super duper low. Yeah, but if I turn it up, Steve bitches about it.
Yeah, because you can hear like everything. It's like super loud. Because the gain picks up everything, right? Gain and volume are obviously not the same thing. So, but anyways, I took down I changed the noise suppression a little bit to a higher quality. So hopefully it comes with a little bit higher gains or higher,
See,
quality.
This is what these shows are for. We want to make sure that, like, when we're back on Nonsec, our production quality is better than what it was, despite what some people may have claimed with all the work that they may or may not have claimed that they did in putting in such high production. So that way we've worked out all these stupid bugs before that happens. And yeah. Steve's not allowed to have the go live button. Somebody else is going to have that because we can't trust him.
Yeah, well, I try to let people know when we're off air properly. Do we need a safe word?
We should. Well, okay. First off, that's a great idea. Second off, not what I was referring to at all. But it's hilarious.
Yes, it was.
That's what you picked up. No, it wasn't. I was actually referring to how you thought you were streaming somewhere else when we first started.
Oh, that's true too. I did. I streamed to my other channel accidentally.
As well as, like, how many times do we start a stream with no fucking audio at all?
Yeah, I'm really bad at this stuff. I'm not going to front. Yeah, did anybody watch last night? And here's the funniest thing. My roommate, who I adore, she's known her 35 years, right? I mean, went to high school with her.
She seems like such a sweetheart. I haven't gotten to talk, but she seems adorable.
She has been following this stuff for a very long time, but doesn't interact with anybody, doesn't socialize with anybody. From the internet's kind of thing, like what we talk about. But she's well aware of this, been going on for the last couple of years. But she was watching that last night when we were live, and I didn't know that. And when she had come out, and I told her, I said, "Hey, last night was hilarious because Jess didn't know that we were still live." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I was watching."
Hi. Yeah, no, Jess didn't like Jay, and then also I thought I was playing League. I was like, the reason why you could hear me clicking and I wasn't like being super clear about when I was muting was because I thought we were off air anyway and nobody would care.
Did anybody watch it last night? Because I was laughing. I mean, I was literally laughing and busting a gut. That's one of the funniest things I've ever had happen on the internet. And I was just dying. It was. I mean, what else could you do, right? Because I was also tabbed out, so I didn't really see what was going on. I was tabbed out. I was trying to get the links, right? So
yeah.
It could have been a lot worse.
'Cause I thought we were leaving, so I had the stream, like I closed the stream, which is why I wasn't responding to anything in chat whatsoever.
I reviewed it. It was PG-13, so don't worry about it.
I wasn't super worried. It was just really funny that I was just like, I didn't even realize, whatever.
But anyways, it was funny, and I appreciate her humor on that, and props. She took it well because it was so funny.
Somebody asks, who was that? Sorry, somebody named Brittany, I think. Where did that go?
What was that?
Oh, they asked if Chesh really thinks Kyle will return to Non Sequitur show. he might have to pay back Steve all the money he owes.
Right.
I'm kidding. No,
I took. Well, people asked whether I made it private. I made it private because I wanted to sure that there was nothing in there, and I just want to make sure that it was
precautionary.
Okay. Precautionary, exactly. You know why? Because I'm honorable in that kind of stuff.
Precautionary.
And it was just a test feed anyways. So
your guests and friends.
Yeah, it wasn't of anything of real consequence. So.
Like that was all visual. It's not even like, oh my god, somebody must have said something, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
So it happens when sometimes you just make things private.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions for us, now is like the best time to ask, because we don't have like a super solid this is where my brain is. Topic for today. We're kind of just talking about moving. Now, Steve, how many times did you say that you moved?
Oh,
and like tips and tricks. If you have tips and tricks for moving, get them in here.
Let's see. I would probably say, well, I mean, it's probably, a dozen times I moved, but I mean, as far as tips and tricks, I always try to package things such that, okay, this is the bathroom stuff, this is the kitchen stuff. I mean, I don't like to overfill boxes because they tend to fall out the bottom if you overpack them. But I mean, consolidation is the key. You just got rid of shit that you don't need. Everybody has shit they don't need. Matter of fact, just over here, these houses over here, or the duplexes, people have crap all, they just don't need. I mean, they have like these cars sitting here. It's like, why do you keep this stuff? And for some reason, people get attached to shit. They get attached to junk. So
sometimes people have sometimes people are working on cars, or they start a project and they're like, oh, I'll finish it, I'll get to it later, I'll finish it, and it just gets put on the back burner in perpetuity. Essentially, it'll be there forever. And I don't know, I don't have a lot. Like, I just don't. I have more stuff than I kind of need or want, but I don't have things I don't use. Right? So I have more than one cheese grater right now. I don't need more than one cheese grater, but I still use the cheese grater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was the same thing. I had can openers, right? And I had like 3 can openers. One that worked really well that I liked. 2 that didn't work so much. But I figured if the one that I liked broke ever, I would have a backup. And then I'm like, well, fuck it. Do I really need these backups? They don't work. They're crap. I mean, so
you would just want a new one anyway.
I boosted my gain up a little bit for entreat felines. Yeah, so I put a 5 dB gain on it.
And boy asked, how's your new place?
Well, like I said, it's nice. It's a small place, but it's comfy. It's quaint.
I like small.
Yeah, no, it's. Look, I don't need anything extravagant. And like I said, she's wonderful. So it's nice. It's just been real chill. We've been talking about all, reminiscing about.
It's gotta be nice to like live with somebody who kind of knows what's going on, but is also friendly, and like you've got somebody around you, especially during like shutdowns and stuff. You've got somebody you can hang out with.
It makes a huge difference. Yeah. Can you imagine me having to explain to this shit to a person who had no idea what's going on? It'd be absurd. They wouldn't believe me.
One of the nicest things about during the shutdown was I was lucky enough that I was staying with my family. So I got to stay with my mom and her husband during that time, and they were doing work on the house, and they had to do like a little bit of like emergency travel. So it wasn't like they weren't breaking any lockdown. I think that was actually before lockdown that happened. Yeah, it was. Before lockdown, they did a little bit of travel, and I got to start ripping up their living room because they were like, we're doing some work on the living room. Take all this wallpaper off. And I was like, wee! And I was just like grabbing wallpaper and like dragging it down the wall. So I got to, it was nice to be able to, engage, help out, and have people to like talk to and hang out during lockdowns. Like it was really nice to be able to stay with them during that time. And
yeah, I had 4 of the roommates at the time, and when I lived in Sun City, I really didn't know anybody. So I'm not going to make that mistake here, or at least try not to. I want to actually get to know the people in the area. I headed out the other day, went to a nice little cozy place for food. They had excellent food, excellent nachos, ice cold, big old friggin' thing of IPA beer, and it was good. So
I've been a little bit unlucky about being able to sort of explore the new city that I'm living in that I moved to like last year. But one of the nice things is my upstairs roommate is, oh, bless her heart, she's amazing. She's so much fun and she's so friendly and nice to me. So it's like if I want to, I can just kind of wander upstairs and have a conversation, be like, oh, hey, how's it going? And that's just a nice thing that, if it was an apartment building rather than like an apartment like split, it just wouldn't be the same. And it's just nice to have.
Yeah, I like having someone around too.
Yeah, it's just nice. It's just not, humans are social, and it's nice to get like a little bit of that socialization without too much baggage or without it being a chore. And sometimes it can feel like that. Inkboy says, why the Facebook doesn't work?
I have nothing to do with that. It was not my fault. No. Yeah, well, like I said, having a lot of roommates. Why did you attack
Facebook like this, Steve?
I'm definitely used to having a lot of roommates, but it is so much nicer when they know what you do, because my other roommates didn't really know what I did per se.
Didn't really understand you.
Yeah, I mean they kind of did, but not really, if that makes sense.
I am so lucky my mom is so cool and has a pretty good understanding about what goes on. I think it took her a little bit to get kind of a grasp of it, but once she knew what was going on, she was like, oh, all right, I get it. And she recognizes audience members. Like she knows you guys by name. Or like by not your real name.
Yeah, but she recognizes the people that come around.
Yeah. So that's great. That's a good time. And it's also really nice that everybody in the chat has always been like kind to her too, which is also really great because sometimes that can go awful. I knew this chat would be fine. Otherwise I would not invite that. But I knew you guys were great. So I wasn't worried, and I'm just, it makes me happy. It's just a grand old time.
Then he says we should get our roommates together for a play date. Actually, Chester and I should just have a play date. We can play like, cool. Sorry or Pachisi or,
Portal?
Uno. Well, now that I have an internet connection, I can probably play Portal. I haven't tried playing games yet, but I'm sure it's going to be fine because so far I've had no issue as far as the upload or download. I had 0 drop frames the other day at 4.5 megabits per second, which was perfect. So far I'm really thinking this internet is going to work. Now, she has her own internet, like I said, for the TV and stuff like that works for her, but I'm paying for this separate, which is absolutely fine. I'm trying to figure out a way where she can use it as well, where it benefits her. Same to kind of all that
just have her devices hook up to it.
Well, it has no Wi-Fi. It's not Wi-Fi, and she doesn't have a computer. She only has a phone.
It's not Wi-Fi? Mm-mm. So plug a thing into it to make it Wi-Fi.
I guess that could mean if we really needed to get a router, we could, or something.
Well, you could get a router. You could spend like probably $40 in America, but you could spend and get yourself like a little one. Pop out that wireless signal.
By the way, I guess YouTube is having issues as well. People have been saying that on Twitter. So if you're in a foreign country and you're watching this, you might have some issues, dropouts, but it's not ours.
I'm in a foreign country and watching this.
You're technically in a foreign country.
Sometimes I love our dynamic.
America could spit and hit you.
Hate us. Athens asked for Steve, is the name Kyle tainted for you?
Yeah, I would never name a pet or kid Kyle. I used to like the name Kyle from South Park, but it's been tainted from me forever now.
I would probably name like a fish Kyle. If it was like you know how sometimes you get that one fish who's an asshole who doesn't get along with any of the other fish?
Well,
I would name that fish Kyle.
A chicken. No, I'm not on wireless right now. I'm hardwired in. That's why it's great.
Being hardwired in is nice. I am too.
Yeah, I'm hardwired. I'm just saying that,
That's what she said.
For other, wireless stuff, but this doesn't seem to have wireless. I looked, and it normally has a wireless. Have a password, and it doesn't come up on anything. I think you have a separate package for that.
Mr. Serious makes a really good point. Windows 11 starts rolling out tomorrow, and he says he really hopes that none of the crap that's going on with the internet has to do with that rollout. And he also says that he really likes Windows 11. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to Windows 11. I've heard good things. I was talking to RNGD Gaming about it in the Discord a little while ago. It was a couple days ago, and I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, I'm here for it. It sounds like it's not gonna give me ass cancer, so that's nice. I appreciate things not assaulting me with how awful they are. As much as I deal with so much nonsense on the internet, I really appreciate when something decides not to be the worst. Steve, did you see the picture I did of you?
Yes, I did.
Did you like it? Oh no, he didn't like it.
Okay.
What don't you like about it?
We need to
pull it up.
I don't know.
Can we pull it up?
You could pull it up.
You need to share it. You got the outside. Hold on, I got it. I can send it to you.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I can.
Where do you want me to send it to you?
Send it to me directly through Gmail. Anything that's working right now.
Oh God, I hate. There was a switch over in Hangouts and chat and Google, and speaking about things that I don't like. There you go.
Yeah, my dislike bot isn't working apparently. The one that
He didn't like the picture.
I do, but it looks it looks like it's from an actual show that I've watched and I can't place it.
Oh, giving you a little bit of a mind bend, is it?
It's the way the chisel look is. All right, I'll show.
Well, we were talking about abiogenesis, and we were going to have like the community hangouts. So if you're ever coming over to my channel to one of the community hangouts, if you're a member, you can join. If you're on Patreon, you can join into the call. But I think I'm going to tend towards doing art, and I take suggestions from the chat, I think is what's going to end up happening. So if you want some funny, weird art, come on one of those nights, and you'll get to. He doesn't wear his glasses half the time. He's usually wearing he's usually got contacts in.
Ooh. Me?
Yeah.
I wear my contacts quite frequently, yeah. I need to get some saline, though. So I've been neglecting wearing them as much as I normally do.
Looks like a Monkey Island character, does it?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, exactly.
Show it to the outside. I need to know. I need to know what I need to fix on it so I can update it so we can have like. I gave you a wonky expression. Did you not like the wonky expression?
I don't know. Okay. I like it. 1 second. I'm adding it in a second here. Make sure I add the right thing. I don't want to have a repeat of what happened last night. Show something shouldn't be, you know. All right, here we go, guys. This is the new artwork, and it's clearly an alpha layer PNG, right? So.
Well, I just gave you a copy paste. Yeah, I didn't actually. It's just a snip. I didn't even do that much. It's just a screenshot.
I don't know. See, the reason I think the reason I'm not a big fan of this because although I like my mullet in the '90s, I don't have a mullet now. This makes me look like I have a mullet.
How does that make you look? Okay, how?
Because it's super short in the front. Yeah,
there is short at the front. There's nothing at the front.
But this is it, like letting it grow out so it grow. Really do like. But I like the dark hair better, and I don't want to dye it, so I'm gonna have two tones.
Okay, so you want the hair pulled forward on the sides?
Yeah, just put it forward, and that would be much better, and I'll like it. You do that, I like it.
So in my defense, I did this from memory.
You've seen me how many years? I could draw every inch of you by memory. Oh wait, never mind.
Do it.
Do it.
Fucking do it.
If I get your moles right, do I get a bonus?
Yes.
I know what your tattoos are. Does that count?
I mean, since you said plural, no.
Yeah, you only have one, but I know where it's at. I mean, I know that. Yeah.
Okay, so
I know exactly what the tattoo's at.
All right, so next hangout stream, Steve is gonna draw me from memory, and we'll see how well that comes up, and then we'll let the chat vote on who did.
I don't draw though. That's a disadvantage to me. I can't. You know what you're just gonna be. You're gonna look like a fucking stick figure. Awesome.
I'm okay with that. As long as you color the circle on the top green, you pretty much got it right.
I can't draw. I have no artistic talent. That's not my thing. Everybody has their shtick, and I can't draw. My dad could.
We all did songs, and like some of us can't sing.
I'd rather have done that. I would have sang like "Devil Down to Georgia" or something.
Well, then do that. You should do that. You can't release it, obviously, for legal reasons for a little while, but you should totally do it.
If you and I ever get to where we have a karaoke bar, I will promise you I will sing "Devil Down to Georgia." Live.
Can we own a karaoke bar? Is that a thing we can do?
Well, I mean, I would love to.
I'm totally down to owning a bar. I got so many ideas. Can we run it like it's a tavern?
The non sequitur show tavern.
Inkboy asks, so now that Ben and Kyle's new Kyle's ex-boyfriend know each other, what happens to the Steve Ben ship? Is it sank, or will we still ship it? Listen, there's something you need to understand. The actual canon does not matter for a ship. Ships do not care about actual canonity of a story or what's going on. Ships ignore that entirely. They're basically all canon proof.
I love Ben. I just talked to him 2 days ago.
Oh, good. How's he doing?
Yeah, Landon says, what idiot Facebook admins messed up their BGP? It's like Facebook removed themselves from the internet map. Restore Facebook needs their network neighbors to rebuild, restore their map routes. Yeah, their DNS is all messed up or something. Their mapping, they did something bad, very, very bad, because, they own WhatsApp and they own Instagram too. And so somehow whatever they did affected all their assets. So their entire infrastructure is screwed right now, apparently.
I have a couple Canon ships that I like throw out in the garbage, and I'm like Sasuke, Sakura, garbage. Hinata, Naruto, garbage. Orihime and Ichigo, garbage. Those are all Canon ships, and they all deserve nothing but the worst. Oh, Sonic and Amy, garbage. All garbage ships. Canonity does not matter to shipping. Oh, Jay says she just realized that Chesh brushed her hair for once. Good try. I don't own a hairbrush. Renji and Rukia, garbage. Garbage. Absolutely garbage. Trash. Trash. So your favorite anime is garbage.
So I'm just wondering, are all these troll downvotes? Are they for you, me, or for Jay now because she's a mod?
I don't know, but I think we should bring Landon in here to talk about what happened to Facebook if he wants to.
Is he spec? Oh, yeah, I'll bring in anytime he wants to be. But
that way he doesn't have to type all this out and he can just explain it. I feel bad.
Oh, so does he have information on this? Because I don't think he's speculating. I think he knows details because this is what he does.
I don't know.
All right, I'm working on it.
I don't know what.
Stop ordering me around. I can only take so many orders from people. Everybody bosses me around. Between you and Jay, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. I'm so sorry.
We all know that Red's rhetoric is the one that bosses you around the most.
He does try. No, see what Red says is this. He's like, Steve, man, I need a favor, man. Dude, and I'm like,
does he
don't ask any questions. Just do it. I'm like, okay. I'm not even bullshitting. That's exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's like, Steve, don't ask any questions. I just need this. I was like, every single time, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ask him. I love him, and so I don't. Whatever he wants a kidney, he's got it. But it's just like.
Helios5 says Steve should do his art police sketch style when he describes Chesh to Chesh, who draws what he describes. That way your skills don't matter.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Describe me to you while I'm not on camera, and I will draw it.
No, that's horrible. Who came up with that? Ban them. Block them.
No.
Good God.
That's amazing. That's such a good idea. I love that. I love
That's
that.
not a good idea.
That is so fun. I like it. I like that.
How do I add him to the call here?
Oh, I don't know. You have to make a new group.
No, I got him. Landon, okay. You have to go on your he's not on Skype right now, so Landon, you have to go on your Skype, and I'll add you.
So one of the things that when it comes to moving, kind of getting to a new area, one of the first things you have to do is find the best bar in the area. So you basically, the first thing you do is you go bar hopping to find the one that's got the right atmosphere for you. And don't assume when you look at the outside of the bar. You need to like actually go in and spend a little bit of time there. You don't have to drink a lot. But
no, that's right. That's what I did. And the bar that I went to, well, I want something in walking distance, right? Because I mean, but there's only really one or two places within walking distance. And so, by the way, thank you for the super chat, Helios. Appreciate it. Not going to happen though, but appreciate it. So I mean, this is the closest place, but they close at 7 at night. I mean, they're not like no. I think maybe a couple days they stay open at midnight. And there's no 2 o'clock bars here.
Yeah, at 7. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think maybe at I think I said maybe at midnight on some days, and then 7 I think on weekends or something. I don't know. It's just not a 2 a.m. bar. That much I do know. So that kind of sucks.
Landon says, "Give me a moment. I just finished my shower," and I'm just like, Landon's like sitting in the shower on his phone, spamming
exactly. Yeah, what's going? The dude got major connections, right? He's probably talking to Zuckerberg himself. He's like, "Dude, hey, look, Zuck, man, what's happening with your shit, man?" And he's like, "Landon, man, you got to help me, man. We fucked up. We fucked up bad, man. We fucked up bad, man. Landon, help us." That would make some amazing fan fiction. Although it might be true, though. It might not actually be a joke.
Some of those pictures of Zuckerberg being a lizard person are pretty convincing.
One thing I do hate about Skype is that it really messes up the NDA. Sometimes it fluctuates.
Oh, every time. Oh, I'm huge.
Yeah,
I
fixed you.
There's
I fixed you.
One of the things that I also learned when moving is have friends.
Yeah.
There was one time I went to the store and I bought some couches. And I had just moved into my apartment and I was living there for a couple of days and then my couches showed up. Or I had been there for a couple of weeks because I had some furniture, but I didn't have my couches yet. And some friends of mine came over to play D&D. Now I had forgotten that I had ordered these couches, and my dad came to drop them off because his wife worked at the place I ordered the couches from. So he just grabbed them for them so they didn't have to like ship them and spend extra money or whatever. So he brought them over. And luckily for me, all my friends happened to be over to move the couches. I'm like,
there you go, put them to use.
Yeah. Sit on the couch, get the couch up.
Put them to use,
they didn't
absolutely.
Stairs or anything. They just went right into the elevator and up they went. It was easy, but they were all like, "Did you just seriously you did that on purpose?" And funny enough, I actually did not. I did not actually plan that, but it worked out perfectly. And they got food, and there was like beer and shit. So I
like good food too. And like I said, I order their nachos because the nachos usually kind of give me indications of the quality of food for some reason. I kind of use it as a metric. And these were good nachos.
Wings are also a good metric. Yeah. I like. So bar food is super duper important whenever you're going to a bar. And if you ever want people to like, if you're moving to a new place and you want people to like you, if there's a barbecue, bring whatever your best dish is. Whatever you make that you're good at. It doesn't matter. Like my stepdad makes fantastic potato salad. It is so absurdly good. He also makes a really good like pan roast chicken. So good. So that's what you make. So if he's got to take something somewhere, that's what he makes, and everybody loves it. So everybody loves him because they associate him with his good food. And so it's the same thing. If you're ever trying to get in like good with people, provide food. I was having a conversation the other day talking about like Dungeons and Dragons, like how do you manage a table? And one of the best ways to manage a table if you've got players that kind of bonk heads is if you're the host, like it's at your house, provide food. Not just don't get pizza every single time. Although it's nice, have like something else once in a while to snack on. Like, I don't know, like just bar food. Just make bar food at your house. It's really not hard. Make bar food at your house. I assure you it is worth it. Anahitos are the easiest fucking thing in the world. It's just cream cheese, a little bit of lime juice, a little bit of like Tabasco sauce or sriracha, whichever one you want to use, mixed around, then spread it onto a roll, like a tortilla roll, then roll it, cut it up, and then put it on a thing and warm it up, take it out it goes. Bar food is amazing.
I really, I mean, I'm a foodaholic, and that's one of the problems because trying to cut down my weight, which I have been quite a bit. My diet has been working, but I still like my food. And so when I indulge, like the plate of nachos, that must have been 900 calories, 1,000 calories right there. I only ate like 2 other minor things throughout the whole day because that was my whole day. I try to keep under 1,500 calories.
Buy a brie wheel.
A brie?
Make it. Brie. Buy a brie wheel. It's the easiest shit in the planet. Buy a brie wheel. Put it in the oven. Take it out of the oven when it's melted. Have a $5 stick of bread, cut bread, present. Mm-hmm. Done.
I would see, but the problem with that is I would eat like the entire freaking brie wheel and bread.
That's the point.
But I don't want to do that.
Well, you present it to the table.
No, they don't get crap. I'd eat it all myself.
Get two. One for you, one for them to share.
That makes a good host. Yeah, one for you and then one for your guests.
Buy 2, save 1 for later.
I love that kind of stuff.
No, don't let them know you have another one. So share it with them when they eat the first one, and then you have another one after they all
You don't put any garlic in it, or because I like garlic bread and that kind of stuff. Garlic bread, brie.
Oh, you can absolutely. Yeah, sure. If you want to. I'm just saying what the easiest fucking thing you can do is. And that's probably the easiest thing off the top of my head that seems really, really fancy. That's so goddamn easy to do because it's just melted cheese and
I love my cheese.
bread.
I love brie. I love camembert. I love Munster. I love Jack. I love especially provolone. That's one of my favorite. Provolone is like the Cadillac of cheeses to me.
What are they called? The charcuterie boards? Cheese, sausage, and crackers on a platter. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah! Get a handful of deli meats that are pre-sliced. Throw them on a plate. Throw some crackers on a plate.
Salami, pastrami, pepperoni, any of the onis.
Like some of the like the summer sausage.
Yes, I love that shit. Yes, I'm a big fan of summer sausage. Even though I recognize it's very high in nitrates. A couple
vegetables and dip, and there you go. Get a watermelon. Cut that shit up. People love watermelon.
You know that stuff's really high in nitrates, right? Though.
Get a watermelon. Cut a hole in it, take a vodka bottle, open it, put it in the watermelon, let it sit for a day.
Well, that's how I used to make drinks. We would pour the alcohol in the water, and make melon drinks. So you just put them in cantaloupe and watermelon and just let it sit in there with other fruits in there with cherries. And oh my God, you eat the fruit and you're drunk. Smitty doesn't like provolone. What the? Smitty, you're like the weirdest person I've ever met in my life. Who doesn't like provolone?
What's the my mom and my sister absolutely love it. I
love provolone. Maybe I think Pri doesn't have taste buds. That's why. He doesn't have proper taste buds.
Oh. What? Oh, maybe if my mom comes in, she'll know. It's a very thin, very salted, like a deli meat. I think it starts with a P, but I can't remember what it's called.
You're talking about prosciutto?
Yes. Bushido.
I like Bushido. Bushido is an acquired kind of thing.
My mom and my sister would kill somebody. This person can die. Give me my prosciutto.
Yeah, I am when I'm really feeling like treating myself, and I do want it like meats and cheese and all that stuff. I might break down and get a prosciutto. Yeah.
Havarti is so good. Havarti is so good for thick sandwiches, like a big bun sandwich. Yes.
I mean,
hi, Claire.
You gotta remember, I'm still frugal as shit, and I'm still trying to conserve a little bit because,
make your own.
I got lawyers to pay. I got your lawyers. And I also got to survive, and so. But I want to get a part-time job. I actually redid my resume, so nobody's going to know where I'm working anyway. So. But I will. Let them try to find me. I bet they do. Want to bet? I bet you know how many hours are going to be, Chesh? them trying to find out where I'm working for a part-time job. They're gonna be like hunting for. I love that, knowing that they're gonna be searching, never gonna find.
I think it's a little bit funnier that you're gonna say you're getting a part-time job, then never bother to actually do anything, and they're gonna be looking for something that doesn't exist.
That'd be freaking hilarious, man.
This is a wild goose chase troll.
Well, you know what? They're still looking for my porn video on Pornhub. They're still searching for that.
Food stuff and food streams. I will be able to actually start doing food streams soon, but they're going to be on Instagram. So when Instagram is working again, that's going to happen on there. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see like the weird shit I make. One of the things I made was really good. It was basically nachos, but instead of using nacho chips, I fresh cut potatoes.
That sounds.
But I didn't cut them. Yeah, I cut them closer to French fries rather than like circles. It was really good. It was really good. So find me on Instagram eventually if you want to see me.
If it's not working.
If it's working, yeah. That's why I'm not bothering to link it.
Stream Feline asks if there's an update on my publication and paper. Yeah, I did a stream out the other day. Dr. S.A. Malik had sent it to 5 of his colleagues, 5 PhDs, to pre-review it. The first one didn't quite understand the necessity for it, but couldn't find anything wrong with it. But he was like, don't really worry about that one. 2 of them had the same thing that said the same thing he did, that it needs an introduction, which I totally agree. And again, he gave me tips to writing the introduction to it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The 3rd one and 4th one didn't have any issues with it. The 5th one was actually a PhD in paraconsistent logic out of the UK. I know of this particular philosopher by his name, and he had said, great work by the author, no significant criticism.
Now, did any of them know it was you, or did he share that around without
No. When they have no idea. It could have been Graham Oppie for all they know of. I'm not comparing somebody for. Look, they're gonna be like, Steve's comparing himself to Graham Oppie. No,
it could be Graham
I'm not.
Oppie, it could be me. It could be anybody.
Right. Yeah, but he
could have wrote it for anybody fucking knows.
But when a PhD in dialtheistic logic says, good work by the author, and said, he has no significant criticisms, I know the logic is tight. And by the way, just for people's reference, I can tell you right now with my short version that is on my blog is a pale comparison to what I wrote in my paper. I went much. As a matter of fact, that was one of the criticisms for the first and second reviewer. They're like, why did he go so formal? He's like, but the point was, that's why I need the introduction, because I wanted to formalize Graham Oppie's argument in a Boolean logical system that would show without question that if you adopt certain usages, it leads to this kind of atheistic semantic collapse. And so they didn't understand why I was being so formalized in it. But the last reviewer, who specialized in logic, loved it. He was like, this is great. So the people that have read my paper, are you out? If anybody out there has actually read the actual paper, I sent it to Jessie, to read, because, of her expertise in logic. And she really liked the squiggles. She said the squiggles really made the paper, and that...
have you sent it to Mika?
To who? To Mika? No, but I should. No, did I? No, I'm not sure. Maybe I did.
I'm not sure.
It's funny you mentioned it, because I was just going to talk to her yesterday. She had done something, and I was going to reach out to her again. I don't remember.
She's great.
Yeah, but for those who have read my paper, can you at least let people know that it really, the short version of my blog is such a pale comparison.
It's garbage. Everything is garbage.
I mean, it gives the gist of it all. I mean,
I don't even think you sent it to me.
I didn't send you my paper?
I don't think you.
I sent it to Jessie to read, because her.
Hey,
Landon, you got you got playing in the background. There we go. Okay. Well, Landon read my paper.
Yes, I did. I liked it, and in fact, we talked a little about some of the stylistic efforts to make it more scholarly and less Steve on a
which
YouTube show.
Yes, and I took your criticism and I ran with it. I was like, yes, give me more. But yeah, so people.
I think it's a good paper, and while I'm not a philosopher, the logic I think was sound, and I agree with the reviewer that an introduction as to why is this paper necessary and what is this paper trying to show is a good thing.
I absolutely agree with them, and that's that's one of the reasons why they do the. I will add your video in here in a second. That is why they do these kind of pre-reviews to kind of say, okay, before you publish this, what are some things you can add, you can change, you can modify? And the only, like I said, the only thing that one of the reviewers, the PhD in dialectic logic, he had asked something about existential import, and if it applied to my paper, and of course, it doesn't, and I can argue why it doesn't, but it was actually, something that was like, nice, this guy's really trying to poke holes in my argument. But of course, that's assailable, and I'm not too worried about it. But he also, clearly he understood my paper, which is the whole point. If somebody who's qualified understands my paper, I think I did a good job, and he checked the logic out, and he couldn't find anything. The Boolean logic is correct.
Yes, and the I had to go and look up what exponential import was, but that's one of those criticisms where what you might want to do is a simple paragraph which would effectively say someone might wonder about exponential import. It doesn't apply here because da 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 da. Right?
Maybe I'll consider it because I'll mull that over a little bit.
If it fits in with the paper. If you think that's something that a scholar might read your paper and wonder or dismiss, having it in there is one way to handle. Particularly, it acknowledges that the reviewer did something nice.
Yes, and I get that. I think it'd be more of a footnote, something along the lines of,
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a way of dismissing stuff on there. So just like as a disclaimer, I'm now a retired Cisco employee, but we there's sort of a list of network operators and chatting stuff on the background. And so let me just give you an impact of what Facebook did and why. I guess it's remember, because I'm not going to try to do a lot of technical jargon, but remember, what does internet mean? Internet is a network between networks. Mm-hmm. It's the internet. Right? It's you have a network. It's the network between networks.
It's the connecting of smaller networks. Yes.
Yes. And one of the fundamental ways that the map of the network is described is something called border gateway protocol, right? When you have like an internet service provider that has links to people's homes, they're a network, and that internet service provider needs to know how. They need to tell people, how do you get them, right? So if I'm going to send something to a message to your computer on your ISP, my computers need to know how to get there. So the border gateway protocol, the border of your network, is a gateway that describes how do you link to your neighbors? How do you set up the sets? So think about also like let's take maps, for example, like your map app. What Facebook did would be the equivalent of the New York City deciding to delete themselves from your map app. Now, people inside New York City would be able to drive around because they know their network and so forth. But if someone is in Newark and wants to do a map route and navigate to some spot in New York City, what they'll get is no such place.
There's no ping.
Now, what is the reasoning behind why they decided to do something like this so incredibly?
Well.
Wait, was it an accident or did they actually make a decision?
It's an accident, right? It's an accident. So
a pretty big accident.
Active networks are establishing new links. I mean, one of the things you want to do if you're a really critical part of a place that you want to go is you want to have good links to other neighbors. Right? Because, for example, Facebook on its own can't build their own network. This is the days of AOL thinking they can build their own separate internet are gone, right? So Facebook establishes links with other neighbors, particularly if they're moving into a new market or they're expanding a market or they're about ready to unroll a service, right? Or maybe they anticipate something where and let me give you an example. Let's say Facebook decided to help out Microsoft by having the Windows 11 download stuff coming from one of their servers. So they would establish better links to Microsoft networks to So there's many reasons.
Facilitate that kind of change. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's many reasons why you want to update your BGP status, or maybe a vendor is taking down a network, or someone takes a backhoe and cuts a line, right? You want to have the traffic say that major artery, right, into New York is down now. Find another route. That's what you try to do with this stuff. Well, so now what happened was that Facebook did an update for their BGP status, and that update was bad, as in really bad. Now, the way you're supposed to do stuff is you're supposed to have tools to check your BGP information, and then you go in and do what was called a proposed route, and you link with some of your critical neighbors saying, if we made this change, what would happen, right? And in the normal way, they would say, hey, if you made that change, you go away. But apparently, for expediency, or maybe it was anticipation of Taco Tuesday, or whatever the thing was, they pushed out a route without proper testing. Now understand that Facebook not only hosts Facebook, they host a number of other companies. They host a number of services, like Instagram and so forth. But there are other services that will buy from Facebook a platform to use part of their service. And so when Facebook goes down, not only does Facebook go down, all the companies they own, but all the other services you might not think are happen to be on machines or networks managed by BGP go away. And it's a particularly bad break because the fix is not simply, undo, right? If you took a city out of a map, you'd have to reestablish all the roads.
All the connections, yeah.
And not only just all the roads, but the type of roads. This is a 4-lane road. This is a 1-way road. This is a thing.
It may be like very binary off or on, but you have to reestablish every single connection off or on, not a cumulative off or on.
Because the network is really set up with these autonomous systems, the AS things, that the border of the autonomous systems is the protocol that says, how do you get from hither to yon? This is the really
Here's Main Street. We've turned on Main Street, but there's no other connecting roads off of Main Street right now. We need to turn on all those roads first. Then we also need to turn on all the connection between those roads. So where Main Street crosses East Street, not only we have to turn on Main Street, we have to turn on East Street, but we also have to turn on where those two connect. So it's not one on or off.
This has a trolley. Yes.
Yeah, and then what is on this street? Are there lights at that intersection? Then you need to turn on the lights, and you have to turn it on. You've turned this street on, you've turned this street on, but you need to turn on that it hits it here and it continues on the other side. And this side also does the same thing. And then you have to turn on each corner if there's lights, then what kind of lights they are. So you've got to turn on the red light, the yellow light, and the green light at each corner individually, and then the walking signs if there's walking signs, and a stop sign if there's a stop sign, and the lines on the road. Does it allow both ways or only one way? It's a lot of on and off.
So there's a lot of quality metrics as BGP. It's essentially is a it just makes routing decisions on paths. Basically, it's a path vector routing protocol, and so they've messed up that set. And worse than that is some of the links that they have to the other autonomous systems, the fix has to be on the other side, right? You just don't pop up the internet and say, hi, we have this autonomous network, come and chat with us, right? Those
plus
links
you have like the security, right? Because there's a whole nother level to that where you've got to make sure that all these links are secure and not conflicting with each other. Because if you accidentally put West Street on top of East Street, you're going to have a big compile up.
I have a couple questions real quick. Okay,
Sure.
so, and by the way, tag us to ask Landon questions. Two chats are welcome. PayPal link below. It's actually, I do have a PayPal link below. I was actually just kind of kidding, but I actually do. Whatever. Okay, so a couple questions. One, so this is nothing that you can just hit undelete. You can't just hit Control Z and it goes away. So that's well established. Now, was this an executive decision from like a single individual, or is this like a group that says, let's go ahead and do this? Because you would think there's checks and balances, right? When it's that substantive where that kind of change could have that big of an effect, in the hands of one person, that's a little disconcerting.
I
And
can imagine
and-
one person.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, was this
It
like
would
a
be
group
funny.
thing? And two, is our heads are going to roll for this? And three, how much money is being lost on it? So there's a bunch of questions.
I mean,
for you.
certainly a lot of money is being lost, and in particular, there's a lot of collateral damage because some people said, well, Facebook has a pretty good solid infrastructure. They're connected to lots of places. Let's put critical infrastructure on it. Like one of the critical infrastructure that Facebook was doing was called name service. Name service is like the phone book, right? When you type in a URL and you say www.youtube.com, that string doesn't tell you where it is on the internet. That has to be converted into an internet protocol address.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So DNS, the name service, takes the www.youtube.com and says, for you, here's the IP address you want to go to. Then BGP comes around and says, okay, how do I get that IP address? Well, so not only has Facebook taken down their networks, they've taken down the name servers that they use to host stuff. So there are, and I don't want to name names, but there are some well-known sort of hosting companies whose name service is part on Facebook. Now, if they're smart, they put one name server on Facebook, one name server with Google, one name server with a phone company. That's how you sort of smart. One of the problems that can occur if you're smart and you spread it around is that someone might say, oh, you want to go to YouTube or you want to go to Discord. Okay, let me look up Discord. And it happens to be that they pick one of the three servers is at Facebook. And so it says, time's out. Oh, let me try Google. Answer, right? So one of the things that can happen with this is services might be slow, right? Because the attempt to reach the Facebook infrastructure has to time out, and it has to be smart enough to try the second or the third or the fourth reference. So that's another impact there. Now, the decision-wise, I am not familiar with the administration procedures within Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg and I don't like each other. I am known to refer to him as the internet sociopath for a reason, but we won't discuss that here.
What is it? Wait, what? No. What does it refer you as?
Oh, we're gonna have a whole.
We're gonna have that discussion. Yeah. What is
different conversation?
That's one of those bar discussions that when I go to Los Angeles, I'll tell you the stories of that. Those are.
I want to come. Am I invited? I'm not in.
Yeah. Hang on. So it is safe to say that Zuckerman is not a fan of yours.
No, and I'm not a fan of his thing, and I don't use his service.
Yeah.
And I do not recommend anyone using his service. And I recommend that if you do use a service, you delete your account and you leave it alone.
I'm gonna go do that right now.
But nothing to do with what happened today. That's my opinion.
I tell you what. I don't want to do it tonight. But maybe tomorrow.
You can't do it right now. It's down.
No. Yeah. I was gonna say maybe tomorrow, Landon, if you got some time tomorrow and Chester's free. The three of us can do a completely separate hangout. We're talking about the actual deep technical stuff. Because I don't want to do the technical stuff here. I want the very super.
But I think Facebook? Hell yeah.
Would you be okay with that?
I want to describe, for people that are saying, well, what's going on? What's wrong with the internet? And the answer is, first of all, that routes that used Facebook networks have been messed up. Mm-hmm. The fix often has to do with getting their network neighbors, their neighboring autonomous systems to reestablish a link. You just don't pop on the internet and say, hey, send me traffic, right? There are countries that try to do that on the internet when they say, we don't like this particular YouTuber, so let's take down YouTube because they're, so there are a lot of checks and balances in place to try and prevent some bad network from changing the network. But the problem is that Facebook has to sometimes reestablish by contacting. So let's say Facebook, I don't know, but uses AT&T and Verizon networks. Or they have a lot of connections into those networks. AT&T and Verizon have to reestablish the Facebook links.
Yeah, it's not like only Facebook needs to do this. It needs to be both. So like Main Street can't, if you turn Main Street back on, Main Street can't establish all of the connections. Let's say Main Street is going this way, and you have to establish left and you have to establish right. So Main Street can't on its own establish that there is a left and a right on East Street that goes across it. East Street has to acknowledge its existence, then acknowledge that Main Street exists. Then they have to acknowledge each other, and then figure that out from there about what.
And I like your analogy, but I would say that the town has taken themselves out. So imagine if Las Vegas remove themselves from maps, right?
Yeah, I would say.
The way on Las Vegas works, it's a critical hub. Or Los Angeles, state of Los Angeles deletes themselves from the Google Map, Apple Map, Waze, those sort of thing. All those links have to be reestablished. The other things that people.
Like a plane analogy would work better than a road analogy. Like the plane is supposed to stop off at, let's say it's going to Los Angeles and it needs to stop off in Vegas. Well, Vegas doesn't exist anymore. So the plane can't get to LA because Vegas doesn't exist. So Vegas LA might still exist, but Vegas has removed itself. So the plane can't go from point A to point C because point B, where it needs to stop,
doesn't exist. And so that's been reestablished, right? So things that will happen for you, even if you don't use Facebook, is that some services that you think, well, this is not Facebook, this is Instagram. Well, guess what? Instagram is hosted on Facebook. Some services, like some network hosting thing to build your own website, may use Facebook's name server or Facebook's hosting spot and buy it from there, because Facebook sells stuff like Amazon.
That would be anything that says, hey, do you want to log in with Facebook? Anything that says, hey, do you want to log in with Facebook? You can't log in with Facebook.
Well, not only, but let's say buildyourwebsite.com buys servers from Facebook. It's buildyourwebsite.com, but those machines are on Facebook data centers, because companies like Amazon and Google sell data center space. And remember, the city of Facebook, if you will, has been deleted from the map. So anything that happened to reside in the city, it doesn't matter that you're trying to not go to City Hall. It's the corner store, it's the rail line, everything else has been messed up. So understand that if you're not a Facebook user, you may see a couple things. You may see services being slow, right? Because Facebook be one of the places where the name server, the directory lookup, is timing out. It has to time out and go to the next thing. And that could be, you load a browser page and your browser is trying to look up, jennyshoebox.com, which is hosted on a server that happens to be a name server at Facebook, and it times out and it's got to go over to, let's say, Google to do the lookup.
Yeah.
So that's that. And so jennysfacebook.com might become slow, even though Jenny's shoes.com isn't hosted at Facebook, but she happens to use a service provider that uses Facebook as their name server platform.
Yeah, if we use the plane analogy again, it's like waiting in line to go, but this plane has to establish that it can't get to point B, so it has to try to go to point B, fail, turn around, come back, then you get to get on the
and worse than that, you may be trying to go to a movie, and the road is blocked because taxis are waiting to get to the airport to try and offload people to try to take an airplane, which happens to go to Las Vegas, which doesn't exist. Right?
Two things. One, I did give your mom mods. I hope she doesn't get drunk on power.
We're all in trouble.
We're all this is gonna be bad. This is not a wise decision on my part. I've seen what she can do. She's dangerous. And second, have they called you to have you help them?
Well, there's been discussions, because when the internet breaks this bad, there are people that
Landon.
sort of that not me, because I'm not there on.
He's retired on call. Now. Leave him alone.
I'm expecting helicopters to come pick him up.
There are mailing lists and things of network operators or people that sort of chat. And part of the thing, most of that stuff is full of saying, hey, the country of Botswana established their third internet link to Zambia, blah blah blah. You know, that kind of stuff happens, right? That's sort of those it's like people who geek out on maps look at the
Yeah, everybody's in a forum together because this is the niche that you're all interested in, and then something happens and you're all like, we got to get on and see who's got what idea.
Now I'm sure some details will come out because normally the way that a company, let's say like a telephone company does, is they make changes all the time, but those changes are tested. They go through a sanity check to see that there isn't typos, and those changes are tested to see if we did this, and it may be that you know, if AT&T made this change, Verizon said, well, we can't talk to you. Oh, let's not make that change.
So let me ask you why. Okay, when you go to Down Detector, it does show a correlation across the board, not just because from Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, but also with Verizon, AT&T, Google, TikTok, Cricket. I mean, all of them. Every single Tinder. Everything has been affected by this, just about. Is that because they're all having to change things around to fix this shit?
Perhaps, but the other thing is that Down Detector may be running on servers that are in Facebook autonomous systems.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I don't know that. I don't know how.
But there's definitely. It's across the board that they're having issues. It's not just Facebook.
You've also got, like, it's also possible that if you've got so many people that normally would be spread out going through different systems, now all of a sudden this whole road is shut down. It's causing a jam over here.
Exactly. What Chester is.
I love when I say something and
because this is what I say. Even if you're not a Facebook user, if you're not going to Facebook,
right.
You may be using a service that's now overloaded because it originally traffic was going, let's say, through Facebook to Verizon, right? And so if you're on, again, I'm making this up, if you're on AT&T and you're trying to send a SMS message to someone who's on Verizon, and that message would have gone through Facebook's network, and that fails, then you might think, well, AT&T's messing up because blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of collateral damage that occurs as a result. I think that the lesson, there's certainly been a lesson in Facebook of how do they make this change and roll it out.
They're not going to make this mistake again, probably. You're saying.
I hope so, because there's a lot of damage, a lot of money that's on the line for there. Now, things like stock markets do a credible job of managing the networks very carefully, and they try to be good services like a stock exchange will try to get as many links as possible. So if something happens someplace, normally it's like, well, there's a flood or there's something like that.
Oh my God, can we finally get rid of the stock market? Can't we just throw it away?
So I understand the stock market is doing
Bezos is like not only
doing well. I mean, Amazon is doing well, Microsoft's doing well, so these things. But some of the reporters' links, you may be on the other side of a Facebook network, and therefore they look down. So understand that you may be sites might be timing out or slow. Sites might be unavailable because the name service can't convert it. It may be that your browser has to refresh, because if you have a browser that's heavy, it's got ads, and it's got little comment sections and stuff like that. It's got to do lots and lots of lookups. And if those lookups are having to time out on the first thing and go to the second thing, then so right now, I know that some of the network operators, name server operators are doing is removing Facebook servers from their list of name servers because your browser has a patience, and you try to load a page, and it just at some point says too long, right?
But in the interim, it's taking up bandwidth, isn't it?
Because it looks up ad link and times out and has to go to Google, and then looks up a weather app on Weather on the Ground and times out and has to go to Google. Your pages can load slowly, not having to do anything with where they're going. So one of the takeaways is that Facebook could be more careful about their changes. This was a Facebook BGP change, and whatever procedures they have failed. And we'll probably learn about more of this, later. The other thing is that you do not want networks that are too big to fail. this is probably a sign that people should not put wholly blind trust in Facebook.
Or anything for that matter.
By the way, there are other countries. If Amazon went down, that would be a similar class.
Amazon has some issues today too. I think literally everybody was.
Well, in some ways, you might have a name server, let's say, that's a backup name server for something that happens to be hosted on a network controlled by Facebook, and your names are now getting pounded because it's now the one that can tell you where jerseyshoes.org is located, right? So you might all of a sudden have a name server that's being hit hard because it's supposed to be a backup, and now it's the primary thing. So there's a lot of ripple effects that occur on this set. If there's a storm, if there is like a hurricane and so forth, this is kind of known, and people kind of because there's a very famous quote by John Gilmore. He says, the internet interprets censorship as damage and routes around it. Well, internet interprets detects damage and routes around it. But you can imagine if a place like Denver deletes itself from a map, given that Denver is a city, everything around it, Boulder would be a problem. If you took out the city of Los Angeles and Los Angeles Basin on the maps, the freeways go to hell. They go to hell often with little excuse, but they would really and understand as well. This is even if Facebook comes back online.
You wouldn't even be able to take, if you were to remove like someplace like New York, there's that big highway in America that goes like from the south to the north.
Yep.
It's like that big international highway. If you were to remove one of the cities on that highway would stop working because you would go there and then have to turn around and come back. Or
they would say you go to wrap around side roads because it no longer exists.
Right,
and those side roads aren't meant to hold interstate traffic.
It's too much for it, yeah.
And also, you might be going to pick up Uber or Lyft, and the driver is using maps that haven't been updated. And so even though Facebook could instantly fix this, if they could, it's going to take time for the impacts. Two types of impacts.
Well, it looks like the reports are going down. So
everything has to be done.
It's smart operators we're starting to route around it and establish links. In fact, networks, established links between themselves to try to handle the traffic, and then name servers started changing the priority of stuff. So it'll be a little while, even when the traffic settles down. But that's again, this is how a infrastructure is there, and so I think the lesson is that we need to have an infrastructure that's more resilient, that doesn't get as bothered when something happens.
Yeah. I mean, there was no redundancy or triple redundancy at all in this. Clearly, there's no redundancy. If you look at Down Detector, it looks like the reports are going down, so they might be in process of fixing it. Chesh, who sent this image?
I found it on Twitter.
Oh, this is great. This is great because Twitter tweeted it out. I mean, I love when these people take advantage of social things like this. It's brilliant. It's the best social media thing you can do. They're like hide literally everyone. It's already got like 2 million freaking. It's like 1.4 million things already likes, and I've already retweeted it.
So one of the things.
Look on the outside real quick, Landon.
Oh yeah.
So I'm showing you an image. Basically what's happening right now with Twitter just going, yeah, that's awesome.
So one thing that happened, I got an interesting report, is Facebook employees have been unable to enter buildings to evaluate the extent of the damage because their badges aren't working properly to get into the building.
The badges aren't working?
Facebook users at home that are on call are unable to receive phone calls, voice phone calls, and emails. Basically, no one can communicate internally on internally approved chats within Facebook. Also, their VPN is down, so you can't access links from people working from home. Everything requires a VPN to access anything.
Well, they really
and Facebook account is required to authenticate the VPN. So you're working from home because of the pandemic, and you have to use a VPN to get inside, and you have to use the VPN uses Facebook services to evaluate whether or not you can get your employee to be able to fix it.
Just recently, Twitter is starting to have problems now. People are saying, and according to the down detector, as of 12:30, give or take, there was a huge spike in the outages.
Yeah, it's because there's so many people
using it, probably, right?
Yeah, all at once. Yeah,
it's overloading Twitter.
This is like a house of cards.
They're a victim of their own. Yeah,
Facebook is your own hubris, Twitter.
That's hilarious.
One of my favorites has got to be that what Landon just described with Facebook is the definition of you just put all your eggs in one basket, Facebook, and you had no alternative plan. And one of your eggs, there's a hole in your basket, and you're like, shit, I gotta fix this before all the eggs fall out.
So would you say this
is a lesson to learn? Over dependent upon Facebook or Amazon or Google or Apple or something, and no matter how good they might be, is a problem, because you introduce either single points of failure or major points of annoyance. I mean, I'm looking at stuff saying that you know there's few of the services now. So the bunch of services inside Facebook that kind of collapsed from stuff. So they're trying to bring up things, and employees that could do that are having difficulty VPN in there. And so some of them actually travel to buildings, but they are having trouble getting it. So they have to get security guards to vet their thing and manually let them in the door because they no longer have locks and keys and so forth. There's a report about $60 million an hour of stuff being lost just at Facebook alone. But that
so would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most panicked, where are they in like panic mode now?
It should probably be somewhere in the 8 level, because at least the servers, this is not like they've been a destruction of servers, that to rebuild physical infrastructure.
Yeah, they could correct this. It's just because it's so if there was if there's a physical problem, that's a huge issue. This was complete software though.
Yeah,
right.
but
saving money by having this happen, they're also going to have to invest and spend a lot of money to build in a backup program.
Make sure that doesn't happen again.
So imagine you're the person who could fix this BGP thing, let's say, or fix part of it. But you try to log in to Facebook because you work from home because of the pandemic, and your VPN can't authenticate. So you try to make a call to somebody, and you can't. I mean, one of the things that they found at Facebook is Facebook has a directory of employees, right? So you want to call the network operations center, you want to call security, you want to call vice president, blah, 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 blah. You went on the Facebook thing to get the number.
Yep.
Well, that directory is down. So some people have been able to call in because they didn't like write down phone numbers.
This is basically like you have all your contacts stored in your phone. Your phone is broken. How do you call anybody?
Yes. And so some people thought, well, okay, I better drive into the data center to go inside the data center, because remember, probably inside Facebook, a lot of stuff is somewhat working. And when they made the change, everything looked kind of okay. But to get inside the data center, they get their badge, and their badge requires computer, but that's down. So now we got to figure out how to call security, but the app on their phone can't even load, blah, 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 blah. So I've been told from the confirmed reports that they've had to, people walk over to security to try to convince security guards to let them into security to talk to them, saying, we need to get so-and-so to authorize to put a guard there to open up the door physically, silence the alarm, and physically check badges. And then you better hope that some bad actor isn't going to use this calamity, because sadly they do. I mean,
well, I already heard that Unirock was heading up there to fix this shit.
He would know enough to do it, right?
Yeah, he's got it under control, people. Unirock has got this under control. He will fix this for the masses.
You might say they can't just say, well, we'll just unlock all the doors and let the employees in because of bad things. And there's certain areas in Facebook that if people got in and did digital damage or physical damage, that's where you get to the 9 and 10 level of panicking. But I think this is definitely an 8. And as well, this will be studied in NANOG, which is the Network Operators Guild. And And people will hopefully learn a lesson to say, maybe I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Maybe a quasi oligarchy running the internet is a bad idea.
This is 100% going to end up in textbooks. For sure. It's going to be like Black Facebook Friday.
Do you think this is going to be something that's going to require congressional hearings?
Yes, but sometimes when Congress gets involved, it's because people got upset and they want to talk on cameras to show their concern. Congress is not necessarily the most technical when it comes to the internet.
You think? You think?
What makes
Surprise!
you say that?
Wait, shocker! Yeah.
I grabbed a question for Landon from Helios that he asked a while ago. I was waiting to get it in. Is a question for Landon. Would the regulations that were in place when the internet was classified as a type 2 utility have prevented this problem?
No, because as a type 2 utility, BGP still worked, right? This is a case of a chunk in a set of assigned networks that were too big to failed. And so, but in a public utility system, the power company can make a big mistake. And even though they have a public utility commission, all public utility commission can do is to hold hearings. So I think they need to be better resiliency, so that you don't over depend upon it, as well as Facebook's going to figure out who messed up. I mean, I feel it could be something as simple as someone decided that, hey, it's time to go to lunch. Come on, we're leaving. Oh, let me just do that. Done, right? And run off, right? That can happen. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to have procedures in place that when you do something like this, it is double and triple checked, and you have supposedly network windows. I mean, you might notice, like, sometimes whatever bank you use, you go online, a bank might say some services are, we improve your service are going to be down from Sunday at 2 a.m. to Sunday at 5 a.m. Right?
Yeah.
And part of what the bank is doing is testing things and testing proposed changes. And the way that you're supposed to do this is before 2 a.m., you have a plan saying, this is what we're going to do. And we have to, at 2:30, be here, and 3 be here. And if we're not here, for whatever reason, we stop and say, this isn't working, and roll back.
Yeah, you've got this plateau that you've built in. So that way, if you try to climb and you fall, you have a plateau that you're landing on, and you're not falling all the way to the bottom because you're just like, oh, shit.
And then you have time to stop and say, okay, it's unlikely we're going to make the 5 a.m. window, so let's roll back and figure out what went wrong, rather than just say, keep marching, and hope it works at the end. So you have a plan, and that plan includes a rollback. You have to be able to test, how would you roll back if halfway through it isn't going to work?
There's a reason why video games like League of Legends, for example, has something called a PvE, which is we let our players join into this specific server where we test things on champions. So if this champion is going to get a change, it goes live on the PvE server before it goes to the game.
Yeah. And you have tests where so this is part of this plan test with a rollback plan, and it's going to say it should take 3 hours. You've drilled it, and if at hour 2 it looks like you're a problem, that's too late, because maybe it takes 2 hours to undo.
Yeah.
So you might say half hour in, we have to be at this milestone. If not, we're backing off.
Usually, okay, so I mean, in the military,
it's
right?
It's the point of no return. So if you need to return, if you're not here by this point of no return.
Yeah, in the military, they have checkpoints just like that. As a matter of fact, when you do a procedure, it's down to the minute. I mean, it's like, if this is a 2-hour procedure, then you have to have sometimes up to 5 people sign off on something. If it's called something along the lines of high pressure system, or it's a seawater system, or you have a primary to secondary system. anything relating to where there can be a catastrophic event, you have up to 5 people. Five people is the most, but usually it's only have 3 people. But if it's something major, you have the initial person who checks it, you have the secondary checker, you have the person that's the supervisor on duty, you have their supervisor, and then you have the command level chief engineer sign off. That's 5 signatures when you have pressurized systems or you have seawater to sea. Because if you get seawater into a system on a nuke boat, there's something called corrosion, and it's very, very bad. So any kind of things that can lead to any kind of catastrophic events, they're highly redundant. They say, look, this is how you do this procedure, and it should take you 20 minutes to do this, 25 minutes to do this, and it's very, very regimented for most part. But yeah, it seems like in this particular case, they did not have a well-defined system of implementation of procedures of how to go about doing this, whether it was an update or it was a changeover. It probably, would you think it was more like an update that they were trying to do?
It was a PGP update. PGP update, and that caused problems. Now, we don't know what the procedure they have, but imagine, again, back to your military case, if this thing is supposed to take 20 minutes and there's some unforeseen thing and you're now at minute 21, what happens?
Well, not much. You have to get it done still. But if it starts taking too long, you have to report up going, what is the holdup, right? What is preventing this from being, taken care of? And we're not talking about an emergency situation. Like we had a siller go down. It was an emergency situation. There's no procedure for that except to get the shit online so you can get fresh water, because if not, people die. But for established procedures, if you're running overtime, you just have to let them know, look, we do need more time on this because we're waiting for fabrication of this part. We're waiting for this to happen. So I mean,
so what if it had been, because what happens is you're there 20 minutes and you say, well, the part we thought was going to work broke, and we have. And the secondary part, it also failed. You have to scrap the thing and roll back.
Yeah, you might have to scrub it and go to a different lineup and try something completely different, Sure.
And so isn't there somebody ultimately that's responsible so that if there's a screw up? Yeah.
Well, technically it's the captain of any boat, but the captain is educated in all this stuff too, but the chief engineer technically is the one that is responsible for all that stuff. But yeah.
So the chief engineer could sit there and say, it's 25 minutes, and what's going on here? Well, we tried the second part, and it still failed. Do we have a third part? It probably looks the same way. Okay, we got to roll back.
I don't remember the captain ever having to sign off on much. Only on the
the chief engineer might say, this procedure is running into trouble. We need to. And so that's what's supposed to happen with. Well,
you know what that reminds me of, Landon, which would be a perfect conversation for us one day, but it's not until like April.
Yeah.
What happened in like 1985 in April in Russia?
Oh, yes.
Because that's exactly, because people that may not know a lot about Chernobyl, they were testing something and they screwed up royally. They shouldn't have been testing the way they were testing, and they ignored their signs.
And more than that, by the alarms being of annoyance, someone said, "Shut off those damn alarms."
But what I would love to do.
You want to know how many times I've seen that when I worked factory? You gotta lock up the machine. I'll be fine. And now you're trapped in a machine, and a drill's gonna come down in your brain. Good job.
But Landon,
don't do that shit.
I would love for DEFCON 1 science when Chernobyl, the anniversary comes around. What I would love to talk about, and I know this is like kind of a side thing, but I would love to talk about how they added so much reactivity to the core by dropping in the rods, because the rods were tipped. The rods were tipped with graphite and added an initial reactivity because they kept pulling out rods. They had a xenon decay problem. They did not realize that xenon was building up. And anybody who knows about nuclear reactors knows a lot about xenon, that the fact that you don't want to have an initial startup again from a core that has been quickly shut down until the xenon is decayed, because it's a neutron absorber, and you have to add more reactivity to the core. You have to add more rod height. And they were basically working very hard to destroy this reactor. They didn't know what they were doing. These guys were fucking idiots in Chernobyl, straight up idiots. They added it, but I would love to have an actual discussion with you on the step by step, because I loved reading about Chernobyl, because it was, and I wanted to know what the hell they did wrong. Oh my God, did they do everything wrong?
Are there any other questions that people have?
Yeah. 1986. That's what it was. 1986.
Yeah, there's two. One of them is Exploratory Minds for 20 said, yes, platoning is ignored too often by the big players because overconfidence is their weakness. Getting so big soon, so I'm assuming you mean so soon, makes for idle, lazy experience. As a result, Facebook's history is infested with security issues.
That's what people have been saying for a while.
And Boy said as a member for 20 months said Chernobyl was in 1986, not 1980.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. It was
1986. I apologize for that. And
I know the physics behind it. I don't remember the year.
In safety procedures, one of your enemies is familiarity. So when I go down to Antarctica on ice and go to the poles, I can't assume, well, I've been here 7, 8 times, I know what I'm doing, right? You have to, there are safety procedures that you need to keep going through. If you're a pilot, there's a checklist you may have done 10,000 times, but you do it the 10,001st time because...
and it's funny because I on the GDC channel, I do like flight simulator games, right? And I do go through the checklist every time, I mean, just to show people, look, this is how this is why you go through the checklist every single time. And every Microsoft game out there or whatever flight simulator has a legit checklist for you to do. And yeah, the military would be the same way. I mean, when you have very specific procedures for starting and shutting down a reactor. Very specific.
There's a really funny video making its way around now that is somebody just running up to a mirror holding their phone with a video saying, quick, Facebook is down, quick, vaccinate your parents.
Yes. And so
exactly.
So one thing, again, so the facts are that BG Routes screwed up, has a ripple impact. Even if you don't use Facebook, you may be using procedures that are directly or indirectly impacted. Another thing, again, how it happened, we don't know because that's internal. I can tell you that I talked to a former colleague at another service who's being impacted by Facebook because they're receiving excess traffic.
Right. That's not like it happened to these other places too, like Twitter. I mean, that's probably what's happening with them. They're getting overloaded right now.
So they scrambled an incident response team to deal with this pile of traffic because they thought initially it was a denial of service attack or something, and it turned out it was because then they saw that Facebook was out, and so they tried to contact the Facebook contacts because that's part of the establishment, and they weren't answering the phone. So they got a hold of somebody up higher level who said, "Tell us, we want to communicate to your disaster response team about what's happening." And the response of this person was, "We don't have disasters." Well, and they thought a bit, or say, "Well, we don't have they didn't have a disaster response team, right?" They have people that fix stuff, but they didn't have this higher level thing going on, right? This is.
What do we do if?
I haven't watched any of the Chernobyl movies yet, but I want to. I haven't got around.
But this would be the case where the captain at some point would come and say, "Hey, things are screwed up. Engineer is out of hand.
Yeah.
Some of the core officers, and let's get to the bottom of this."
I related a story, and we got to wrap it up. I related a story. One of the very few times I've ever directly disobeyed an order was during an operation, and I was the senior watch person in the plant, not the senior in the control room, but the senior in the plant. And the one of the control rooms higher, but they had ordered a specific lineup that was at a certain pressure and temperatures on single reactor. We had 2 reactors, 150 megawatt each, and we were single reactor piping the steam from one plant to the other plant over the crossover. And when you're in that kind of alignment, there's a very specific pressure temperature charts you have to go by, because if you don't, then you have things like brittle fracture, you have things like deformation, you have things
checks and balances are incredibly important.
But so we were doing some operations, but they were not critical operations, as in like wartime, right? And the captain ordered a specific condition for the plant that was not allowed under those conditions for crossover steam. And I had pointed that out to the person in the control room. I'm like, look, we can't do that. That's only allowed what's called either battle short condition, where there's a button it's literally a button that has battle short, where it prevents the rods from being scrammed. It basically shuts down specific safety functions, because you're in a war situation where you need to get the boat away from something. You've got to do something where it is an absolute emergency, but that's the only time you would ever push that button. And so I explained, look, you can't go to that kind of alignment. I don't remember the technical details. It was so many years ago, but they still ordered it. I was like, I can't do that. And they're like, okay, you're relieved. I'm like, okay. So about 2 hours later or so, the chief engineer, calls me to the his cabin kind of thing. It was the office, and he asked me, what happened, and I told him exactly. He's like, oh, okay. That was it. Like, literally, I swear to God. He's like, okay, yeah, no, you're right on that. He's like, I probably would have done it. He's like, I don't know. He's like, yes, you're right. It's only for, but it's kind of the captain's call. And I'm like, well, no, it's a safety procedure. This is black and white in the manual. This is only done in emergencies, so.
I have a story. I have a story of
you were in
one
the
time
military?
decided to not follow the fucking rules and then break everything. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, then we're going to wrap it up, though.
So I was working at Camcor at the time, which is a factory that makes camshafts for cars. Shocking. One of the lines was Chevy. And so the camshafts in a Chevy.
So you worked with people that shafted people?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Absolutely.
You were a shafter.
Well, actually, I was the lube girl. But,
You were the lube girl, yeah. I remember that. She wasn't the shafter. She was the lube girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So camshafts in Chevys are very large because they're very large vehicles. They require very large camshafts. I know, very complicated stuff. And they were having issues on their Marpause machine, which is the one that the big machine that does all the checks to make sure all the rings and everything is the right size. And we're talking microns, like incredibly low tolerance. It has to be within like a sheet of paper thin worth of tolerance, that how big it can be. And if you get that wrong, it screws up your whole car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Marpause machine needed a new part. And so it was timing out a lot because it needed a new part so its sensor worked better. Well, they didn't want to spend the money on the new part. They didn't want to shut the machine down to be able to put the new part in. So they were like, I'll just bypass it.
Wow.
So the mechanic that they had called in, the maintenance guy, was like, no. And 3 out of 4 of the line managers said he had to do it or he was going to lose his job. So the guy goes, okay, and then pulls out a piece of paper and writes down that I am being told I have to do this or else I am losing my job on this date, signed by these people. And he got all of them except the one guy who wasn't there to sign off on this. And he takes his piece of paper and he puts it in his lockbox in his tool box. And so he shuts it all down. He bypasses all of the alerts on the Marpause machine. None of these camshafts that are going through are being properly measured and checked as they get done and then shipped out to Chevy. A month or so goes by and one of Chevy's engines fucking explodes. They were already behind. And now Chevy's like, what the fuck? And Camcor's like, we cannot tell anyone we bypassed this fucking machine or we are screwed. And so they're like, what happened? What happened? And like the top brass are showing up to be like, what the fuck went on here? And everybody points to this mechanic and this mechanic goes, pulls out this folded ass piece of paper and is just like, these motherfuckers told all 3 of them lost their job. One of them was on vacation and was told not to come back.
Wow.
Did they not remember him? Did they not remember him signing that? Trying to blame him?
Well, they just are passing the buck.
Yeah.
So they were a shitty company anyway. But one of the
by the way,
go ahead, Landon.
That's a nice story.
I like that one.
I
like that. It was one of my favorites.
So
they were so they had to pay for all of the resources they had to pay for all the time, and they had to redo the order. And then separate story, some idiot filled the Barnes unit that had all the coolant that filled that line. Like, I shit you not, like a couple of weeks later, instead of putting coolant in it, this poor dipshit put in gun drill oil and fucked the whole line.
On his first day, wasn't it? Was it on his first day or something?
No, it was like, he was very new though.
Oh. Hey, real quick, just let you know, Christy Santiago is sexually harassing you. If you want my lawyer's number, I'll give it to you. Okay.
And someone asked about this T-shirt. I was given this T-shirt from the team that won the Nobel Prize for discovering the accelerating universe. I helped the team, and while I didn't get to go to Sweden, there are two people that have this T-shirt: myself and the King of Sweden. So this is my Nobel Prize related T-shirt. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. I only helped a team out of a pickle that.
I'm gonna make you a thing that you can stick on there that's got the little Nobel Prize.
Yeah,
you
know what?
Dark energy is the new black.
I think you should get one that says, like an attempt was made, Nobel Prize, runner up kind of thing, or
or best supporting actor.
Best support, yes, great support.
Yeah. Put that on the back.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the thing that happened with Facebook. We'll know more details later, and as well as I expect the PR machine of Facebook to say things. So there'll be the time to know what happened and the time where the PR machine.
Well, let me ask you this before we wrap up. So do you want to come back maybe tomorrow, or whenever we get a little more information, and then kind of go over the more technical stuff and go from there?
Yeah, I mean, let's see when we have more detailed information as to what happened, and we can try to separate out the PR from, again, this happens sometimes where lawyers get involved because there might be contracts, and so the lawyers might cause people to not say things that are factually important.
Yeah, actually, Charles Starbuck has the best shirt for you. I helped win the Nobel Prize, and all I got was a stupid shirt. That'd be perfect.
Excellent.
I threw in the stupid, but yeah, that's perfect.
Folks, be patient. If you're a Facebook user, consider other services, but know that it's going to be down. If you use a service that seems to be timing out, it could be because of directly or indirectly this problem. Have a lot of patience for other things. If you're having trouble logging your bank, or a page is to load, or you try to do something on YouTube, the ripples from this will take a while to
and I'm going to be following it, and I definitely want to do a follow-up. So
I wouldn't care, but I want to ask the chat a question before we leave.
Sure.
Chat, would you care? Would you be upset if this killed Facebook forever? 1 in the chat if yes, you would care. 2 in the chat if no, you wouldn't care, and 3 in the chat if you actually want it to kill Facebook.
No, I like my Facebook because I have I have personal stuff on there.
Would you care if this kills Facebook? 1 in the chat even if it kills it enough. 1 in the chat if you would care, 2 in the chat if you don't care, 3 if you want it to actually kill Facebook.
I don't want to do a vote on it, but I wanted to see.
Killing means killing doesn't have to necessarily mean it's completely gone. Killing it just means it is no longer at this high tier status, and it is well since fallen from grace.
I don't want to do I don't want to do a vote on it, but I want to know if we should do a video on how we should punish Christy Santiago.
I mean, yeah, but that'll have to be a non sequitur show after.
But I think that latter item is what I would vote on. So hopefully lessons will be learned, and hopefully the something this big, the lawyers or the PR people don't kind of distort the facts.
And we'll check it out. Yeah,
alternative realities.
We'll compare the public crap that they put out with your in the know kind of knowledge, right?
And it'll take a while, so I'll find out more information,
okay.
and hopefully that would give you a little bit of help on what happens on the sausage factory that is the internet.
I want to know if you have any. Well, you have to tell me now, but we're gonna come
sausages, camshafts.
Come up with it later. Yeah, the lube girl. Come up later with some creative punishments for Christy Santiago. So you don't do it now, but later. She's not even, you know what? She's not even in the super secret sex cult. What is up with that? I mean,
follow us on other things.
Somebody give that woman the Discord.
I'm playing D&D later today, by the way, for anybody who cares.
Yes, in fact,
I was working on a character. I was
have that on my schedule for 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll watch.
Yes, we are. We're doing D&D for charity. We were playing Guns, Magic, and Steel with Science Side Up and Erica and Dapper Dino.
Oh, say hi to her
and
for me, please. I just noticed the other day that she was part of your D&D group. Say hi to her. I think she's amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. Huge
Yeah,
talent.
she's fantastic.
Huge talent.
Yeah,
Well-
it's scheduled right now, so come and hang out with us playing D. I am playing a posh cat lady who has no time for anybody's nonsense.
I still got to finish up my my Fallout New Vegas because I'm almost done with it. But that's a
And
big
if you
game.
want something wholesome, I did a wholesome weekend. I'm very tired. I worked very hard to try and be wholesome for the whole weekend, and it ended in an absolute horrible dumpster fire at the end of Sunday. But I did my best. And go watch my video on Brendan Fraser because that is some important nonsense that went on, and absolutely more people should be aware of it. So please, please go watch that video from Thursday.
And Steve, again,
yes, sir.
congratulations on making progress on your paper, and
you.
congratulations and condolences on your move.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Well, we're going to wrap this up, and I want to thank you guys for everything and the super chats, and this was fun. I do have hopefully some other stuff coming up this week, but we will get with Landon. We'll get with Chesh. We'll find out when they're available to have an in-depth where maybe Landon can break out his whiteboard. I always like it when Landon breaks out his whiteboard, right? I mean, then you know you're in for a good time, right?
Yeah.
We gotta get Landon hooked up with a digital tablet hookup, so that way it can pop up onto the screen for him.
Well, that's why I want
so something like that of having that. And to say that the other thing we got to figure out is how easy it is to get information out, because sometimes again when major breaks like that happen where there's service level agreements and the lawyers get involved, and lawsuits, then sometimes things get sticky. But I'll try to find out more information if I can as to more of how it happened.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
For sure.
And does any if somebody put the link to the Discord out there? But I'm just kind of curious, how many people would actually watch? Because we're actually dead serious about this, about doing an NS after dark to talk about adult things. How many guys would actually watch that?
Let us know in the comments below.
Is this part of your sex cult?
Yeah, exactly. Because people were like, saying we had a sex cult, and we were like, what the fuck are they talking about? We're like, that's a good idea. Let's see if we could go with this. And so Jesse has actually started a Discord for the super secret sex cult that's completely public. It's all parody and satire, but they don't freaking get it. So it's like whatever. But we do want to do a show dealing with adult themes, dealing with adult concepts and topics, because we find that a lot of people have such repression of things because of trauma, because of history, and to talk about things like we had Mercedes Carrera come in as a guest, even though it was very unfortunate in her situation, and I hope she is found innocent. But if she's not, then she could rot forever in prison. But she was very nice to me. But she's been sitting in jail for a year and a half now, waiting arraignment charges to be figured out or whatever it was. But she was a great guest on Non Sequitur Show. So I want to have more, shows like that, but we want to do it on a different platform that allows a little more freedom of expression than we can make it away with on YouTube. So we're looking into that.
So is that why? It's some people said that you were apologist for heinous acts?
Yeah, people say a lot of stupid shit though. Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled that people think that I can manipulate so many people and that I have enforcers. One person said we had enforcers. I'm like, well, we have a Chesh, but that doesn't really count.
I am a god. I have an army. You have a Chesh.
You have a goblin.
Yeah, it's like okay. So I think what it is their minds are broken. That I have so many amazing people in my life, and many of them are intelligent. Many of them are attractive. Some of them are attractive and intelligent, and they don't understand how. They don't get it.
Landon.
Yeah. So
so
they have to fabricate these weird narratives, dude. It's like, so I'm a super secret cult leader of some kind. And I'm not even bullshitting, Landon. One of them, I swear to you, dude, because you don't know this, one of them, exiled, had actually contacted Frank Pilato, who was the guy that exposed the XNIX sex cult, and tried to convince him that I actually was the leader of a sex cult to have him investigate. That is how insane these people fucking are. I'm not even fronting you with this.
That's another level of swatting, I guess. Yeah.
And the funniest thing is, but here's the thing, Landon. Here's the thing, Landon. He likes my content. He actually thinks I'm rational. He's somebody who watches my stuff now, and so it's like,
Steve.
Okay.
Steve, my mom says she is an enforcer, and I guess
she might be.
We're of the same line, so I think it makes sense.
So
Well,
leave
thanks
us-
again, and
Same
hopefully
breed.
this gave people a little bit of insight,
you,
who
sir.
may not be
Yes.
network savvy as to how something can happen and the impacts of stuff. My advice is just be patient. With Facebook, just press no and move on. Maybe if your service is down, go and read a book, a physical book.
Way too many people who use the internet do not understand how it functions. And I think with that we should get off and
Yep,
we'll
we're definitely all
Just,
gonna yeah.
just to say a plug for a book. I like this book here. This is a nice series of stuff. This is by Islington. Judgement was lost. It's a 3-volume thing, and I'm going through this.
That's
So,
a lot of reading.
consider a book with pages and words. I would recommend it.
All right, everybody go to
This
the
is my book plug.
everybody go to the Discord and get off. Okay, so there you go.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.